So this is part 2, muscle contraction, biochemistry of muscle contraction. So we have seen the structural details, structural aspect of the muscle protein, myosin and actin in the last lecture. Now, how basically muscle contraction is affected or it takes place. Let us understand this. So I'll be drawing a series of diagrams here. So let's say this is thin filament, and on the thin filament you have, this is the tropomyosin, and then I'll be drawing thick filament. So from the shape also you can imagine that this is a thick filament, and from the thick filament, using this hinge, let's say this is thick filament, and this is the S1 head. Okay, this is S2 component, and this is the rest of the thick filament. This is thin filament. If you want, you can label it thin filament. And the one in green dot, this is the tropomyosin. So this is a thick and thin filament in resting stage. And what you can see here is that the S1 head, they are unable to connect to the thin filament. There is a gap here like this. Okay. So thick and thin filaments are separated. Okay. But you can write it down. It is like this: myosin, PI in ADP. So please remember, I told you that myosin is an ATPase. So ATP gets attached to myosin, and myosin has an inbuilt ATPase activity. So it hydrolyzes ATP to ADP and PI. But the good part is, and you will find it in other biological systems also, that the energy is not released. Energy released is coupled to the work done. This is to avoid the wastage of energy. So this energy will be released. The energy which is liberated as a result of hydrolysis of ATP to ADP and PI, it will be released only when muscle will get contracted. Otherwise, the energy will not be released. So it is there, stored in this. So it will be released only when the muscle contraction takes place. So this is figure number 1. Now figure number 2 I am drawing. So this is again thin filament. And you have thick filament. Okay, and this is the hinge. Now, when the muscle gets stimulated, okay, we'll come to that little later in the second part. When the muscle gets stimulated, tropomyosin shifts its place. And as a result of that, now S1 head can join, can attach, can touch the thin filament. Okay, so the situation will be like this: myosin, PI will be released, and in place of pi, now actin is bound, and there will be ADP. Yet contraction has not taken place. So ADP is not yet released, right? What has happened, I'm repeating it once again. In step 2, what has happened is when muscle gets stimulated, when a stimulus comes, what is that stimulus? We'll come to know a little later. So tropomyosin, which is there located on the thin filament, it shifts its place. So now S1 head can join, can touch, can attach to the thin filament as shown over here. So the situation becomes like this. So now stage 3, which I am drawing here. So you have thick filament, a thin filament, and you have thick filament. This is the position of the tropomyosin. And this is the S1 head. Now, what happens when ADP leaves this complex? When ADP leaves, there is a major conformational change in the S1 head with respect to its position, its orientation with the thin filament. You can see the position here, the way it is attached over here and the way it is now. So because of the leaving of the ADP, there is a major conformational change in the S1 head. This is S1 head. Vis-a-vis what? Vis-a-vis its orientation, its position with the thin filament. Okay, and what does it do? It pulls the thin filament in this direction. And the pull is around 100 angstrom. Means towards the center of the sarcomere, the muscle is pulled. The filaments are pulled towards the center of the sarcomere. This is what is called as power stroke. This is what is called as power stroke. This is what is meant by the contraction of the muscle. And this is taking place in every single cell of the muscles. This we are talking of just one muscle cells. This is happening in one muscle cells. When the coordinated action of so many muscle cells, the muscle gets contracted. And in every power stroke generation, the muscle gets contracted by how much? The muscle gets contracted by 100 angstrom unit. Where? Towards the center of the sarcomere. This is sarcomere, let's say. These are the filaments originating from the sarcomere, and this is the thick filament. Okay, so it will move in this direction. It will move in this direction towards the center of the sarcomere, and as a result of that, what is originally like this will become the overlapping will increase. Right? This is what is called as contraction of the muscle. So what will be the situation here? It will be release of, ADP will be given away. So it will be myosin attached to actin. Okay, only two things. In the first step, PI got released. In the second step, ADP got released. Okay, because I told you they get hydrolyzed beforehand, but the energy liberated is not released. It is there in this complex. The energy released is utilized only when energy released is liberated only when the muscle gets contracted, means when it is coupled to the work done. This is to avoid the wastage of energy. So you have myosin plus actin. In power stroke has been generated, the muscle filaments have been pulled towards the center of the sarcomere by this particular margin, by this particular distance. 100 angstrom means 10 nanometer. Subsequently, in stage 4, what happens? Stage 4, as soon as ADP leaves, the myosin and actin will be freed again. So you will have thin filament, you have tropomyosin, you have thick filament, and then you have this. So After that, immediately ATP will join. So you will have myosin ATP complex. And in step 6, step 5 rather, this attached ATP will be hydrolyzed. So we'll have myosin ADP PI. It will be hydrolyzed, but the energy which is released will not be liberated. It will be liberated, it will be freed only when the work is done. That means only when the muscle will get contracted. So it is tightly coupled to work done. And this is a beautiful innovative mechanism in the biological system so as to avoid wastage of energy. कि एटीपी हाइड्रोलिसिस हो गया लेकिन मसल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट नहीं हुई, ऐसा नहीं होगा. जब मसल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होगी तभी ये जो एनर्जी liberated hai, it will be freed, it will be utilized over there. So these are the 5 steps. I'm repeating it once again. So you have thin filament, there is a tropomyosin over here, and it is because of this tropomyosin which serves as a steric hindrance. The S1 head cannot attach to actin. This is the resting stage. The muscles are in the resting stage. This is thick filament. The S2 and S1 component, they are raised. There is a distance of around 13 nanometer between the two. Right? So S1 head cannot touch because of the steric hindrance posed by the tropomyosin. When the muscle gets stimulated, and the situation is you have myosin, the attached ATP has been hydrolyzed because of the ATPase activity of the myosin. So you have PI and ADP, they are still attached to myosin. When muscle is stimulated, stimulation of muscle, you can write down here. Stimulation. So tropomyosin will shift its place. S1 head can now join the actin. So it is shown over here. Actin is now joined. PI is released. So PI gets released. Right? The actin is joined. In subsequent stage 3, the bound ATP will be released. This release of ATP results in a major conformational change in the S1 head with respect to its orientation, its position with this thin filament. So you can see the position here and the position here. What is the difference? It pulls the thin filaments towards the center of the sarcomere by a distance of 100 angstrom. Because of the conformational change, it pulls it in this direction, right towards the center of the sarcomere. So what do you have? You have myosin actin complex here. Now ATP will come and join. As soon as ATP joins, the myosin S1 head will be freed, will be dissociated from the thin filament. As you can see over here, again tropomyosin will change its position and it will come in its way between the actin and myosin, right? So it's shown over here, and then the attached ATP will get hydrolyzed in the subsequent step to ADP and PI, but ADP and PI will not be freed, will not be liberated. Energy liberated will not also be freed. It will be freed only when the muscle contraction takes place. So these are the 5 steps of what is called as power stroke generation. And this is with respect to one muscle cell. So there are literally hundreds of thousands of muscle cells. Your muscles are made up of different types of large number of muscle cells. And all those muscle cells, this contraction will take place simultaneously. And you see the result is that the muscle gets contracted. So this is in simple word is the biochemistry of muscle contraction. Okay. Now let us see how or what do you mean by stimulation of the muscles? So I told you in one of the earlier lectures that typically the calcium level in the cytoplasm is kept low. Okay, and we have discussed it. What are the reasons why calcium level is kept low? It is intentional because calcium can combine with large number of phosphate esters are there and form calcium phosphate, which is insoluble. Majority of your intermediates or metabolic pathways are phosphate esters. So calcium will react with them, forming calcium phosphate, which are insoluble. So this is one. Second reason I told you was that calcium can, coordinately link with 6-7 oxygen atoms of the protein, means covering a large area of the protein. So this helps in bringing about a large conformational change in the protein. So calcium level in nutshell is kept low. Okay. So normally calcium in the cytoplasm is low, but calcium in the reticulum, endoplasmic reticulum of the muscle cells, which is called a sarcoplasmic reticulum, is very high. Okay. And this gradient of calcium, if I have to draw it here like this, so this is, let's say, sarcoplasmic reticulum, an extensive network of bilayered. So here in the lumen, the calcium level is high. And in the cytoplasm, it is low. Okay, and this gradient is maintained by what? Calcium is continuously being pumped from cytoplasm to the lumen by calcium ATPase, right? And there are calcium sodium exchangers also, right? So with the help of these, calcium is continuously pumped in and the calcium level in the cytoplasm is kept low. When muscle gets stimulated, means what? When the nerve impulse travels to the muscle cells, what does it do? It opens calcium channel here. Calcium channels which are located in the membrane of the sarcoplasmic reticulum. And a large amount of calcium comes out. Large amount of calcium will, from the lumen, it will come out into the cytoplasm. So nerve impulse, it will cause increase in the calcium level of the cytoplasm. Okay. Calcium level of the cytoplasm will increase when the nerve impulse will travel to the muscle cells because of the opening of the calcium channels in the endoplasmic reticular or sarcoplasmic reticular membrane. Right? So calcium will rush into the cytoplasm and immediately from 1 micromolar, the level of calcium in the cytoplasm will 1 micromolar से सीधे जो है, it will go up to 10 micromolar. Okay, level of calcium in the cytoplasm, right? Who detects this level of calcium in the cytoplasm? This level of calcium in the cytoplasm is detected by, there is a calcium sensory protein called TNC. It's the calcium sensory protein. It's a part of troponin complex. It's a component, it's a subunit of troponin. So TLC is a calcium sensory protein. We have earlier studied another calcium sensory protein, that is calmodulin. And I told you one of the characteristics of calmodulin and other calcium sensory protein is that they are members of EFN family. Members of EFN family. Means EFN means they have this characteristic motif in their structure, EFN. So this calcium sensory protein TNC also has EFN domains, motifs in its structure, and it has 4 calcium binding sites. Four calcium binding sites. There are 2 at the carboxyl end and there are 2 at the amino end. This carboxyl end, these sites are high affinity sites. And these are low affinity sites. High affinity means what? Even when the calcium level is low in the cytoplasm, these sites, these calcium binding sites, they will remain occupied. But this low affinity site, when the calcium level is low, these amino terminal sites, calcium binding site, they remain vacant, they remain unoccupied. And when the calcium level goes up, okay, from 1 micromolar to 10 micromolar, this low affinity site also gets filled. Calcium will be bound to these low affinity sites at the amino terminal end. So what does it mean? When the calcium level in the cytoplasm goes up from 1 micromolar to 10 micromolar, all 4 calcium binding sites of the TNC, which is a calcium sensory protein, which is a component of the troponin complex, all of them will get filled. And when all 4 sites are filled, it brings about a change in the TNC, a conformational change in TNC. And the change in conformation of TNC is then transmitted to other components of the troponin, other subunits of troponin, and from there to tropomyosin. So change in conformation will be transmitted to other subunits TNI and TNT of troponin. If you want, you can write down TNI, which interacts with the actin, and TNT, which interacts with the tropomyosin. So when tropomyosin, TNT, it undergoes a conformational change, it will be transmitted to tropomyosin in the next step. Here. So when tropomyosin undergoes a change, it will shift its position, allowing S1 head to touch the actin. If you remember the diagram earlier, you can find out when tropomyosin undergoes a change in this particular way, it will shift its position, and now the S1 head of the myosin will be able to touch, will be able to interact with the thin filament actin. Okay, and then the rest of the things will take place, right? So this is how the contraction of the muscle will take place. Thank you.